You hear me? Okay. I'm really looking forward to talking with y'all tonight. So, I'm going to talk to you about some things I've learned in my journey. Most from experience, some of them I heard in passing. Many of them I'm still practicing, but all of them I do believe are true. So, here we go. Number one, life's not easy. It is not. Don't try to make it that way. Life's not fair. It never was. It isn't now, and it won't ever be. Do not fall into the trap, the entitlement trap, of feeling like you're a victim. You are not. Get over it and get on with it. And yes, most things are more rewarding when you break a sweat to get them. Number two, unbelievable is the stupidest word in the dictionary. Should never come out of our mouths. Think about it. It may be spectacular, it may be phenomenal, most excellent or outstanding, but unbelievable? Give others and yourself more credit. Our best friends lie to us, and we lie to ourselves all the time. Unbelievable? I don't think so. Again, it just happens, and it happens every day. Nothing that we Homo sapien earthlings do is unbelievable. And if there's one thing you can depend on people being, it's people. So we shouldn't be surprised. We, us, are the trickiest mammals walking the planet. Happiness is an emotional response to an outcome. If I win, I will be happy. If I don't, I won't. See, happiness demands a certain outcome. It is result reliant. And I say, if happiness is what you're after, then you're going to be let down frequently, and you're going to be unhappy much of your time. Joy, though, it's not a response to some result. It's a constant. Joy is the feeling that we have from doing what we are fashioned to do, no matter the outcome. Number four, define success for yourself. Money is king today. It makes the world go round. It is success. The more we have, the more successful we are. But we all want to succeed, right? So the question that we got to ask ourselves is what success is to us. Is it more money? That's fine. Maybe it's a healthy family. Maybe it's a happy marriage. Maybe it's to help others, to be famous, to be spiritually sound, to leave the world a little bit better place than you found it. Continue to ask yourself that question. Now your answer may change over time, and that's fine. But do yourself this favor. Whatever your answer is, don't choose anything that will jeopardize yourself. Prioritize who you are, who you want to be, and don't spend time with anything that antagonizes your character. Be brave, take the hill, but first answer that question, what's my hill? Well, for me, it's a measurement of five things. We got fatherhood. We got being a good husband. We got my health, mind, body, and spirit. We got career, and we got friendships. These are what's important to me in my life right now. So I try to measure these five things each day. I got to recalibrate. I got to take the tally because I want to keep all five in healthy shape. So first, we have to define success for ourselves. And then we have to put in the work to maintain it. Take that daily tally. Tend our garden. Keep the things that are important to us in good shape. Number five, process of elimination is the first step to our identity. Where you are not is as important as where you are. Just as important where we are not as it is where we are. Look, the first step that leads to our identity in life is usually not, I know who I am. That's not the first step. The first step's usually, I know who I am not. Process of elimination. Defining ourselves by what we are not is the first step that leads us to really knowing who we are. Well, those people, those places, those things, stop giving them your time and energy. Just don't go there. I mean, put them down. And when you do this, when you quit giving them your time, you inadvertently find yourself spending more time and in more places that are healthy for you, that bring you more joy. Knowing who we are is hard. Eliminate who you are not first. You're going to find yourself where you need to be. Number six, don't leave crumbs. So what are crumbs? Well, the crumbs I'm talking about are the choices that we make that make us have to look over our shoulder in the future. They come in the form of regret. You leave crumbs today, they will cause you more stress tomorrow, and they disallow you from creating a customized future in which you do not have to look over your shoulder. So let's flip the script. Instead of creating outcomes that take from us, Let's create more outcomes that pay us back, fill us up, keep your fire lit, turn you on for the most amount of time in your future. And this is the beauty of delayed gratification. The purchases today that pay you back tomorrow. Return on investment, your investment, you. Customize your future. Don't leave crumbs. Number 7, dissect your successes in the reciprocity of gratitude. We so often focus on failure, don't we? I find that most of the times our obsession with what is wrong just ends up breeding more wrong, more failure. The easiest way to dissect success is through gratitude, giving thanks for that which we do have, for what is working. We give thanks for these things, and that gratitude reciprocates, creating more to be thankful for. Now, I'm not saying be in denial of your failures. No, we can learn from them too, but only if we look at them constructively, as a means to reveal what we are good at, what we can get better at, what we do succeed at. And since we are the architects of our own lives, let's study the habits, the practices, the routines that we have that lead to and feed our success, our joy, our honest pain, our laughter, our earned tears. Let's dissect that and give thanks for those things. And when we do that, guess what happens? We get better at them, and we have more to dissect. Number 8, make voluntary obligations. I'm talking about the ones that we make with ourselves, with our God, with our own consciousness. I'm talking about the you versus you obligations. We have to have them. These are faith-based obligations that we make on our own. These are not the lowered insurance rates for a good driving record. You will not be fined or put in jail if you do not gratify these obligations I speak of. No one else governs these but you. They are your secrets with yourself, your own private counsel, personal protocols. And while nobody throws you a party when you abide by them, no one's going to arrest you when you break them either, except yourself. An honest man's pillow is his peace of mind. And when you lay down on that pillow at night, no matter who's in your bed, we all sleep alone. Number 9, from can to want. Look, just because you can? Nah, come on. It's not a good enough reason to do something. Even when it means having more. Be discerning. Choose it because you want it. Do it because you want to. Number 10, a roof is a man-made thing. This may cut a little close to the bone since the geography, but I think we all were there and we'll all remember where we were. And it's because we have created a fictitious ceiling, a roof, to our expectations of ourselves. A limit where we think it's all too good to be true. But it's not. And it's not our right to say or believe it is. We shouldn't create these restrictions on ourselves. A blue ribbon, a statue, a score, a great idea, the love of our life, a euphoric bliss. Who are we to think that we don't deserve or haven't earned these gifts when we get them? It's not our right. But if we stay in process, right, within ourselves, in the joy of the doing, we will never choke at the finish line. Why? Because we aren't thinking of the finish line. Because we're not looking at the clock. We're not watching ourselves on the Jumbotron performing the very act that we're in the middle of. No, we're in process. The approach is the destination, and we are never finished. Bo Jackson, what did he do? He used to run over the goal line, through the end zone, and up the tunnel. The greatest snipers and marksmen in the world, they don't aim at the target. They aim on the other side of the target. We do our best when our destinations are beyond the measurement, when our reach continually exceeds our grasp, and when we have immortal finish lines. And when we do this, the race is never over. The journey has no port. The adventure never ends because we are always on the way. So do this, and let somebody else come up and tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, you scored. Let them run up and tap you on the shoulder and say, man, you won. Let them come tell you, you can go home now. Let them say, I love you too. Let them say, thank you. Take the lid off the man-made roofs that we put above ourselves and always play like an underdog. Number 11, turn the page. You ever get in a rut? You know what I'm talking about? You get in a funk? Get stuck on the merry-go-round of a bad habit? I have. Look, we're gonna make mistakes. You gotta own them. Then you gotta make amends. And then you gotta move on. Guilt and regret kills many a man before their time. So turn the page, get off the ride. You are the author of the book of your life. Turn that page. Number 12, give your obstacles credit. I think fear is a good thing. Now, why? Because it increases our need to overcome that fear. All right, so say your obstacle is fear of rejection. Well, instead of denying those fears, declare them. Say the fear out loud. Admit it. Give them the credit they deserve. Don't get all macho and act like they're no big deal. And don't get paralyzed by denying that they exist and therefore abandoning your need to overcome them. I mean, I'd even subscribe to the belief that we're all destined to have to do the thing that we fear the most anyway, at some point. So give your obstacles credit, and you will, 1, find the courage to overcome them, or you will, 2, see more clearly that they're not really worth prevailing over. So be brave, have courage, and when you do, you get stronger, you get more aware, you get more respectful of yourself and that which you fear. Number 13. So how do we know when we cross the truth? I've always taken these 21-day trips by myself to far-off places where I usually don't know the language and nobody knows my name. They're adventures, one, but they're also a purge. All right, they're a cleanse for me. They're like a 21-day fast from attention, from all the things I have in my well-appointed life. They're a check out so I can check in with me. See how I'm doing. Be forced to be my own, my only company. To have a look in my mirror. And we all know what can happen when we do that. Sometimes we do not like what we see. Well, in 1996, right after I got famous from a film I did called A Time to Kill, I headed out on one of these 21-day walkabouts, and this time to the jungles and the mountains of Peru. The sudden fame that I just gotten was somewhat unbalancing. My face was everywhere. Everyone wanted a piece of me. People I'd never met were swearing that they loved me. Everywhere I went, there I was on a billboard, a magazine cover. It was just weird overall. You know, I was asking myself, what's the reality in this and what's the bullshit? Did I deserve all this? These were all questions I was asking myself. Who was I was another. Now, there's always an initiation period with these trips. An amount of time that it takes for the place to initiate the traveler. The time it takes to disconnect from the world that we just left and become completely present in the one we are traveling in. Now for me, that initiation period usually lasts about 13 days. 13 hellish days until I'm out of my own way. After that, the whole trip is really fun and smooth sailing. Well, it was the night of the 12th day of my 21-day trip. I'm settling into camp. I'd already hiked 80 miles to this point, and I had a 3-day trek ahead of me to Machu. And I was full on sick of myself. Wrestling with the loss of my anonymity. I was guilt-ridden for sins of my past. I had a lot of regret. I was lonely, disgusted with my company, mine. All of these badges and banners and expectations and anxieties that I was carrying with me, I needed to free myself from them. Who was I? Myself. I mean, not only on this trip, but in this life. So I stripped down to nothing. I took every moniker that gave me pride and confidence, all the window dressings, the packaging around the product. I discarded them all. I got rid of my lucky and faithful American cap. I stripped off all my talismans from adventures past. I even discarded my late father's gold ring with an M on it that he gave to me. And it was a meltdown of he and my mom's class rings and gold from my mom's teeth. I even got rid of that. I was naked, literally and figuratively. and I got sick. A few hours later, I awoke on this 13th morning to a rising sun, surprisingly fresh and energized. My gut was still a bit peaked from last night's purge, but I curiously felt pretty good. I felt alive, felt clean, I felt free and light. Along a muddy path on this walk, I turned a corner, and there in the middle of the road was this mirage, magnificent pinks and blues and red colors that I'd ever seen. It was electric, glowing and vibrant, just hovering just off the surface of the jungle floor as if it was plugged into some neon power plant. I stopped, I stared, there was no way around it. The jungle floor in front of me was actually thousands of butterflies there in my path. It was spectacular, so I stayed a while. And somewhere in my captivation, I heard this little voice inside my head say these words. All I want is what I can see. And all I can see is what's in front of me. Now at that moment, for the first trip, I had stopped anticipating what was around the corner. For the first time, I stopped thinking about what was coming up next, what was up ahead. Time slowed down. I was no longer in a rush to get anywhere, and my anxieties were greatly eased. A few hours later, I returned to camp, packing for my continued. Even the local Sherpas I was dealing with, they noticed and point out to me, "Sois luz, Mateo, sois luz," which means you are light in Spanish. See, I forgave myself that morning. I let go of the guilt. The weight that was on my shoulders was lifted, my penance was paid, and I got back in good graces with my God, and I shook hands with myself. My best friend, the one that we're all stuck with anyway, ourselves. And from that morning on, the adventure was awesome. I was present, I was out of my own way, I was not anticipating next, I was embracing only what was in front of my eyes and giving everything the justice that it deserved. You see, I crossed the truth that morning. Now, did I find it? I don't know. I think it found me. Why? Because I put myself in a place to be found. I put myself in a place to receive the truth. So how do we know when we cross the truth? Well, I think the truth's all around us all the time. I mean, I think the answer, is it's always right there. I think it's all around us. We just don't always see it. We don't always grasp it, hear it, access it. Usually because we're not in the right place to do so. So what do? First, I believe we've got to put ourselves in the place to receive the truth. So we have to consciously put ourselves in places to receive that clarity. Now that may be prayer, that may be meditation, that may be a walkabout, that may be being in the right company, a road trip, whatever it is for you, schedule that time. Then the second part comes, which is to personalize it. Ask yourself how it works for you, how it applies to you personally, why you need it in your life specifically. And if you do that, then comes the third part. Have the patience to internalize it and get it from our intellectual head, thinking about it, and into our bones and our soul and our instinct. Now, we cannot rush this part. It does take time. So if we get that far, we've received it, we've personalized it, and we've internalized it. If we make it that far, it comes the biggie, man. This comes the fun one. Got to have the courage to act on it, to actually take it into our daily lives and practice it, to make it an active part of who we are and live it. If we do that, right, then we have what I believe is heaven right here on earth. And that's the place where what we want is also just what we need. I mean, that's the ticket, isn't it? Think about it. I know that's where I want to live. So while we're here, and they're gonna run across the Jumbotron, let's make it a place where we break a sweat, where we believe, where we enjoy the process of succeeding, in the places and ways that we are fashioned to, where we don't have to look over our shoulder because we're too busy doing what we're good at, voluntarily keeping our own counsel because we want to, traveling towards immortal finish lines. We write our own book, overcoming our fears. We make friends with ourselves. And that is the place that I'm talking about. Thank you. Good luck. Just keep living.